Packed car parks, good weather, massive crowd, 2 good races to have enjoyed already. What a prospect. Good afternoon from Assen, the cathedral of Grand Prix motorcycle racing, the only circuit left on the original 1949 World Championship calendar. Here we are in 2006 and we're still racing at Assen, perhaps at a very, very different circuit. But this is a race which is pivotal to perhaps the total outcome of the 2006 World Championship.
Well, Nick, speaking of pivotal, I've got the championship leader with me at the moment, Nicky Hayden. Not the best practice and qualifying, but the warm-up must have done a good boost for your confidence this morning, Nicky.
Yeah, you know, it's race day, and today you got to bring it. So I felt pretty good this morning, and yeah, bike's working well. And, you know, Assen's a cool track, even with the changes, you know, still a lot of pride here and got a lot of history. So we're going to go for it today.
Well, hopefully the history can be made when you can break through for another win.
Yeah, it'd be nice for sure. So try to have some fun. Few guys definitely got some fast race pace. So try to get a good start and go for it.
All right, mate, all the best.
All right, thanks, brother.
There's Nicky Hayden. He leads the World Championship by 20 points from Loris Capirossi, 29 points from Valentino Rossi. Both those two are riding with quite bad injuries. Hayden really has such a chance to open up a lead in the championship, perhaps a lead that means he cannot be caught. And 2 races coming up after Donington Park next week, Germany, the Saxon Ring, and then of course it's home Grand Prix in Laguna Seca.
Sorry to jump in again, but I've got a man that's aiming to get his first GP win, been on the front row of the grid for the second time, following up from China earlier on. Colin, this is the view that you've been hoping for, and a good warm-up this morning for you as well, add to the consistency of the lap times?
Yeah, we, it all went good. You know, this weekend's been great. This morning we started on a 10-lap tire that we had from yesterday and ended up with 22 laps at the end of the warm-up, so feeling pretty good. You know, we got some pretty consistent times that we're able to do, and just go out there, get a good start, and do it.
Well, I know I'm saying on behalf of a lot of people, but hopefully you can break through for your first one.
It's coming here in about 45 minutes.
Good on you, mate. That's what we want to hear.
Thanks.
Colin Edwards riding the Yamaha, Valentino Rossi's teammate. He starts from that first row of the grid in 3rd place, and he knows about winning at Assen in World Superbikes. Surely he could break his duck this afternoon in MotoGP. Could this man break his duck in MotoGP? He won 250cc Grand Prix. On the Kawasaki, Peter Clifford, I think it just might not happen, don't you? We're worried, aren't we? And I think the riders are worried just about the durability of the Bridgestone tyres in this race.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the big question. I don't think there's any doubt about Shinya's ability or about John Hopkins' ability. You know, the motorcycles are probably not as quick as the Hondas and the Yamahas, but the big question mark is the tyres. I mean, Bridgestone doing a fantastic job. You know, they're very, very close, but close is not good enough when it comes to winning Grand Prix.
Well, jumping in with one of the Bridgestone runners, Chris Vermeulen, we're talking about the Bridgestone tyres. You reckon you've got something here, because the Suzuki and the Bridgestones are getting better each week?
Yeah, they are, definitely. And no, we've got some very good choices of tyres here. It's not only one we can use, there's a few different types. And I've gone for the same front as John, but a slightly harder rear. So hopefully it'll work out for me at the end of the race, but we'll wait and see.
Well, does the weather play to help the Bridgestone tyres, the way it's warmed up a bit?
It has warmed up, and it is a lot better, that's without a doubt. But the hardest thing on this new Assen circuit is trying to get heat into the left side and then to make the right side still durable, you know. But no, we'll see how we go.
All right, all the best.
Thanks very much.
Chris Vermeulen done a very good job indeed. He's qualified 6th fastest on the 2nd row of the grid. Of course, he had that pole position in the rain in Turkey. 3 World Superbike wins here in Assen, including a double last year. And he really has impressed everybody since he's arrived in MotoGP. Nicky Hayden, well, can he do it, Peter Clifford?
Well, Nick, what do you think his mission is today?
That's the problem. It's like a football match when you can perhaps go in and draw, but I don't think you can go in with that attitude, can you?
Can I jump in there again? I've got Shinya Nakano. Shinya, very good place to be on the front row.
Sure, happy to be here, you know. Start from here is important, I think, because looks like difficult to overtake this track, you know. So I think beginning of the race is quite important. So anyway, good weather for this track, and anyway, I had a good morning practice, so I'm looking for podium.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Shinya Nakano looking for the podium. We go for lunch, I think. Peter, old Braxy's getting so many interviews down there. He's got another one now.
I've got one now, and it's the man with his first pole position on the Rizzler Suzuki, John Hopkins. Well done, and a good warm-up for you this morning too?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's pole position's great, but it's the race that counts, so we just got to get the best start we can and see what position we can maintain throughout the race.
Well, it's the best view on the grid to have, they tell me.
Yeah, so we just got to get the best start we can, worry about the race, and hopefully finish at the front at the end.
All right, hopefully we can see you on the podium at least somewhere at the end of the race.
We'll see how it goes. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. We're just tucking into our pudding here, weren't we, Peter? Great to hear the three riders on the front row of the grid. You've heard them all: John Hopkins, Shinya Nakano, and Collin Edwards. Back to the question of Nicky Hayden. Yeah, what does he do? I think he goes out to try and win the race, Peter, doesn't he? If he does anything else, he just can be, I don't know. But you're a team manager.
Well, yeah, I think he's right. He's a racer, and he's been desperately disappointed the fact that he hasn't won a race so far this year. But boy, isn't he going to have some criticism if in trying to do that he makes a mistake and throws away 20 or so points.
But also, Peter, how can you get a racer go out and just think of not winning? It's just in their mentality, isn't it? That's all they want to do when they get out there.
Yeah, well, that's right. They are racers, and they've got here by winning races, obviously, haven't they? So they're race winners by definition. But when push comes to shove, if it's three guys battling for the lead coming down to in the last lap, is Nicky going to be the guy that tries to outbrake them all into the chicane?
Probably not. I think probably what we're trying to say is, if you're an intelligent rider, which Nicky Hayden is a very intelligent rider, you assess a situation, don't you? And perhaps in the last few laps of a race, where the situation is, you do start thinking about that 20-point lead, and you do start thinking about the World Championship. Coming to Carlos Checa. Carlos Checa has qualified 8th fastest alongside Marco Melandri on that third row of the grid. And things really seem to be stepping up for the Spaniard, Peter.
Yeah, he's rode brilliantly all year. They're up against it. The motorcycle hasn't been the greatest. The tyres haven't been the greatest. Carlos has given it 100% every time he's got on the motorcycle, and it's starting to pay off. The motorcycle's got better, the tyres have got better, and let's hope he can get some real good points from it this weekend.
Well, Alex Hoffman, the rider insider, we probably know more about him than he would want us to know after listening to that, but big opportunity for him replacing the injured Sete Shiba now. And I got to say, I was a bit disappointed in practice and in a lot of qualifying, but he came up to the third row of the grid. He qualified 9th fastest and probably did things very sensibly indeed.
Yeah, that's Alex, isn't he? He's a very sensible rider. He's a very good rider. He just needs now, with his chance, to put that bit of extra in and show that he can be a great rider.
Kenny Roberts Jr. is qualified 10th fastest on the 4th row of the grid. Probably a bit disappointed with that, but this team is going places. He rode brilliantly in Barcelona, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And just the boost they needed. Okay, obviously it hasn't come together with them, a few setting problems and that in practice here. But I've got absolutely no doubt that he's going to feature in the race this afternoon.
And alongside him, Randy Deprunier, the Frenchman. Again, one of the men from the 250cc class. God, he had an eventful weekend in Barcelona last week. He was involved in the first bend crash and then actually crashed out of the race also. He's fast, Randy Deprunier, isn't he? But fast, but perhaps crashing a little bit too often.
Yeah, he has. But, if you're comparing him with Casey Stoner and with Danny Pedrosa, there's Danny and Casey on the they got the best motorcycle, the best tyres. And obviously Randy hasn't, so he's up against it compared with the other two guys with whom he's being compared.
We just had a glimpse there of Casey Stoner. Great start to his MotoGP career, but 2 crashes in the last 2 races in Mugello in Italy and then in Barcelona. While challenging for the lead, it's a big race for Casey, isn't it?
It is. I really think he's got to show that he can think as well as go fast.
Makoto Tamada.
That's a typical team manager's comment there, Peter.
Yeah. Makoto Tamada, there's a man that shows that switching tyre companies, we may think riding road bikes or cars, that it doesn't make a lot of difference. Tamada switched from Bridgestones to Michelin, and it's taken him a year and a half to adjust, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, he obviously doesn't have the same feel, and it's quite bizarre, isn't it? It's a speciality of motorcycle racing, just how vital that feel of the contact patch and what links you to the tarmac. And if you don't have the feel for it, it doesn't matter how good or bad the tyres are, you're not going to be able to ride them to the limit.
Makoto Tamada's qualified 13th, like Konica Minolta Honda. Grid lines up, the safety car is out, the weather conditions are perfect, and we wait for the race that's going to have a massive bearing on the outcome of this World Championship. Valentino Rossi starts from 18th place. He hasn't broken any rules. He hasn't had the grid swept or anything else. It's genuine. Valentino Rossi is in considerable pain and discomfort from a broken bone in his right hand after a spectacular accident early on Thursday morning. He's going to go out there and he's going to ride for points. It's a very, very brave decision by Valentino Rossi, but he knows if he doesn't do so, along with this man, Loris Capirossi, then Nicky Hayden's going to get away at the front, and he is going to be almost impossible to catch. So Loris Capirossi suffering from a great deal of discomfort, again involved in that horrendous accident in Barcelona. I always say, if you're ever involved in any sort of incident, the nicest man you could ever meet would be Loris Capirossi, but if you needed somebody to do a bit of a battle for you and help you out, he'd be the man on your side, wouldn't he?
He would indeed. He's a tough character indeed. Mark, what do you reckon to the what Valentino's team may or may not have done to the motorcycle to try and help him?
I know they've softened it up a little bit because he's not obviously been a couple of seconds off the lap times, just a bit to make it easier on the change of direction and absorb the bumps a bit more. So, and they also lowered the brake lever on the handlebar just a bit, so a lot of people might know he uses 4 fingers to actually grab the brake lever. So they're just trying, he doesn't have to lift his hand up as much or lift his fingers up as much and wrap around the brake lever itself. And they've also put a pad on the front, well, under the tank to protect a few things, for want of a better word.
There we go. Front lineup of the grid: John Hopkins, Shinya Nakano and Collin Edwards. Sorry, Mark.
Just going to go through the Michelin tyre list. It's interesting to see that there's more than just Edwards and Rossi that are using the smaller profile front wheel. Pedrosa and Roberts have also gone for the smaller profile front in a soft combination. The other riders on the new bigger profile Michelin front: Tamada, Stoner, Melandri and Hayden have gone for a medium front. And on the rear, they've all Edwards is on a soft, Tamada's on a medium, Roberts is on a medium, Pedrosa medium, Stoner on a soft, Melandri soft, Rossi on a hard compound tyre, so that tells us something, and Hayden also on a hard rear.
Just running through the starting grid. James Ellison, 14th, his best ever qualifying position in front of Loris Capirossi. Valentino Rossi has qualified 18th in front behind Ivan Silva, who replaces Alex Hoffman in the Pramac Dantin Ducati team, with Hoffman moving up to replace the injured Sete Gibernau. They're out on their sighting lap. Bright sunshine here at Assen. It's round 8 of the MotoGP World Championships. And there's never been a better opportunity for some riders out there today to win their first Grand Prix, and for a certain rider to increase his lead considerably in the World Championship.
Well, just seeing them take off from the line on the warm-up lap then, Nick, I think Edwards has made his intentions quite clear. He took off, it was a practice start for him. He took off and he swept right to the outside of the track, about 200 metres down to get the line into the first turn. So he knows what he wants to do and he knows how to do it.
Momentarily rode there with Casey Stoner. Casey starting in 12th place from the 4th row of the grid. Watch out the start. He made some electric starts. In Barcelona, the race was started twice. Both times, he came from nowhere to lead the race. He really is a fast starter. But as you say, Collin Edwards really means business. We ride with Valentino Rossi.
Well, with Stoner too, Nick, he's one of the few that don't use launch control. Him, Melandri, Checker and a couple of others rather use just their hands and experience to get off the line.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting start indeed. Hopkins, Nakano, Edwards on the front row. Second row, Hayden, Pedrosa and Vermeulen. The third row, the brave Melandri, Carlos Checker and Alex Hoffman. And the fourth row, Kenny Roberts Jr., Randy Depunier, Casey Stoner. Row 5, Tamada, Ellison and Capirossi. Row 6, Cardoso, Silva making his Grand Prix debut on the Ducati. And the world champion and the 6 times Assen winner, Valentino Rossi.
You've got a great view from up there, Nick, and what a marvellous sight this Assen track is. We look down at that first corner, the stands are just jam-packed with thousands upon thousands of people, and this is just going to explode in about a minute's time.
6 days ago, we had the race in Barcelona and that dreadful first lap crash. would you believe the likes of Loris Capirossi, the likes of Marco Melandri are back in action despite that accident. But we have a new man in pole position. It's the Anglo-American John Hopkins riding the Suzuki. Alongside him, also chasing his first MotoGP win, Shinya Nakano. Alongside him, Collin Edwards, also chasing that first victory. 26 laps of the new Assen circuit. A good start is absolutely vital on the lap. Looks like a very good start by John Hopkins.
And Edwards in front of Tony.
So Collin Edwards perhaps leads the way. No, it's John Hopkins that leads the way into turn one, but Edwards goes round the outside of him. Great start by Collin Edwards into turn one.
And
Edwards leads the way, and it looks like a problem for one of the Kawasaki's
Randy
at the back.
Depunier.
And it's Randy Depunier right at the back of the field. But Collin Edwards, he made that practice start, didn't he, when they went out on their sighting lap? It certainly has paid off, because it's Collin Edwards who leads the way here at Assen, the man that's won World Superbike races here at Assen, but not MotoGP. Can he break his duck? Valentino Rossi currently not at the back of the field, last but one. Nicky Hayden in there also, just where he wants to be fifth. Pedrosa sixth, Vermeulen seventh, Roberts Jr. eighth, Checker 9, Ellison 10, Stoner in 11th place. Not the best of starts by Stoner. And Valentino Rossi, as you can see, in 15th place. Edwards, Peter Clifford, where he wants to be.
Yeah, superb start from Collin. For my money, it's going to be very interesting to see what Hayden and Pedrosa do over the first couple of laps, because I think they're the strongest bets to go with Edwards if anybody can, making the assumption, as I have done already, that perhaps the Bridgestones are not going to go the distance. But it'll be interesting to see if John Hopkins and Shinya can prove me wrong. They certainly look good at the moment. They're hanging in well behind Collin Edwards.
Collin Edwards leads, Hopkins second, Nakano third. Then we have Nicky Hayden, Marco Melandri and Danny Pedrosa. Decent start by Chris Vermeulen. Tomato, good start. Kenny Roberts, Checker. Stoner, as I say, not the best of starts from Casey Stoner after the two electric starts we saw from him in Barcelona. They're over the start and finish line, the end of lap one. Collin Edwards leads a MotoGP race. John Hopkins second, Shinya Nakano third. Nicky Hayden looking nice and comfortable in fourth place, leading the World Championship. We look for Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi has crossed the line in 16th place, so that would mean no World Championship points for the World Champion as it stands at the moment. But his teammate, Collin Edwards, at the front is doing a fine job. And Nicky Hayden now starting just to have a little sniff and a snivel around the Kawasaki of Shinya Nakano, because he doesn't want to get held up, Nicky Hayden, by Shinya Nakano, and he doesn't want Edwards and Hopkins to get away at the front. Situation we were talking about where he starts thinking about the World Championship yet, is he?
No, he isn't. He's doing a superb job. He's responded. He's cut 3/10 out of Collin Edwards on that lap. And as long as he could, if he could get it down to sort of half a second and get another couple of tenths out of him, that would be superb, and he could just really hang in there till the end of the race. Pedrosa has got past Stoner, so he's managed to reverse that situation. He seemed to be suffering early on, but he really lost a lot of ground in those opening laps, and has got a lot of work to do now.
And just talking about Hopkins again, guys, that he's dropped into the 38s. His last lap was a 38.1, now he's a 38.7. So that prophecy about the Bridgestone struggling throughout the race might be starting to bear fruit.
Collin Edwards still leads. Nicky Hayden, Shinya Nakano on the Bridgestones. John Hopkins also on the Bridgestones, now down in fourth place. We've been through the tyre choice with them. And there they are. That's the tyre choice for the two Bridgestone runners, Hopkins and Nakano. Certainly Nakano doesn't seem to be suffering through it at the moment.
It's great to see, two different makes of tyre in the top four and four different makes of motorcycle, isn't it? Real superb competition in MotoGP.
Danny Pedrosa in fifth place, Casey Stoner in sixth. Danny Pedrosa, a bit of a slow start as Peter Clifford was pointing out. Got problems getting past Marco Melandri. And now he's beginning to fly. Casey Stoner is coming with him. Can these two catch the leaders at the front? Probably a bit of a tall order with 13 and a half laps to go.
Yeah, they've got to be, they're 6 seconds down. They've got to be catching them at half a second a lap, and they're certainly not doing it at the moment. They'll be lucky to pick out a couple of tenths, in fact. We're on with John Hopkins onto the start and finish again, crosses the line in fourth place, 13 laps to go. But Collin Edwards still looking super smooth, super superb out in front.
Collin Edwards leads the way, Nicky Hayden second, Shinya Nakano still in third place. Hopkins, and then Pedrosa and Stone in their own personal battle. Kenny Roberts coming into the forefront now. Kenny Roberts is up into seventh place in front of Marco Melandri. Eighth is Chris Vermeulen. 9th is Chris Vermeulen, 10th is Tamada, 11th is Checker, Valentino Rossi in 12th place, Alex Hoffman 13th, 14th is Caparossi, and in 15th place, the last point scorer on the board, it's the Frenchman, Randy de Punier.
And you know, Nick, I mean, if it's going through Nicky's head, I doubt it is at the moment, but when he reviews this race, he's going to have to wonder just, you know, having to follow Collin Edwards, a guy who he's finished ahead of almost all year. The one chance he's got to win the race and maybe get beaten by the guy who's finished behind him all that time.
I'll just jump in there. I've got Harold Eckel with me. Harold, a good return to form after the disappointment of last week for Nakano at Barcelona.
I'm very happy for the team and for Shinya and for Kawasaki. This is a circuit where we can show our potential, and I hope Stina can stay in this position or even better.
Well, he's been getting the fast lap times too.
He's doing very good lap times, and at the end we have to see how the tires compete, and the better tire will be in the front at the end of the race.
All right, we'll leave you to it. Thanks, Harold.
Thanks very much.
Harold Eckel, team manager at Kawasaki, enjoying watching his man Shinya Nakano in 3rd place at the moment. Collin Edwards still leads the way, 12 laps to go. The gap between him and Nicky Hayden about 7/10 of 1 second. Nakano still 3rd, Hopkins 4. Pedrosa and Stoner in their own personal battle for 5th and 6th, as Pedrosa currently in 5th. Kenny Roberts 7, 8 the dirt, but Edwards clips the inside of the chicane and goes down, and Nicky Hayden wins the Dutch TT here in Assen from Shinya Nakano and Danny Pedrosa, and poor old Collin Edwards finishes down in 13th place.
Does that mean is that a sign of things to come, that we're going to see a bigger and better Collin Edwards when we get to Donington next week? He's won a few races around there as well. So I'm sure he'll be coming. He's not in the garage as you'd obviously think. He's disappeared. There's a few of them actually disappeared, and trying to get a hold of anybody at the moment's a bit hard. Marco Melandri, he's exhausted. Casey Stoner is pretty well really disappointed in his effort. I can't believe that, but that's what a rider's like. If they're not winning, they're not happy.
To see Valentino Rossi and Dr. Claudia Costa there. Rossi thanking the doctor for scoring him some World Championship points. Well, the doctor did a good job, but Rossi rode an absolutely superb race into 8th place. Obviously, that wrist will get even better. That hand will get even better before the British Grand Prix in 8 days' time. And who knows, perhaps Rossi's challenge isn't over yet. Loris Caparossi, he looks like he's been run over by a truck. He's finished in 15th place. He's picked up a single World Championship point. It's a brave, brave ride by the tough little Italian, still suffering from the effects of that horrendous accident in Barcelona just 6 days ago.
Yeah, just Rossi just showed you. Well, you said he was only human, Nick, but I think there's a bit more super in there as well somehow.
Yeah, that's right. I think you're absolutely right. I'll tell you, for the first time, he's smiling. I haven't seen him smile this weekend since he's had the crash. He's waved at the cameras. He's smiling with his derpy. This was as good as a Grand Prix victory, to be really honest with you. Ice now on that injured wrist. All he can do is rest and hope that it's going to be a lot better before that British race in 8 days' time. Obviously, it should be.
Yeah, and looking where the ice is there, Nick, I think it's a bit further down the wrist than what the bone. Well, I'm not going to be conjecture on anything, but I think the whole lot of it be sore by trying to hang on to this 990cc Yamaha.
But the podium awaits the arrival of the 24-year-old American from Owensboro, USA, Nicky Hayden. His 2nd Grand Prix victory, his 1st outside America. Tremendous ride also by Shinya Nakano into 2nd place on the Kawasaki.
Or give it to him. Okay.
Nicky just getting sorted out. There is Shinya Nakano. Danny Pedrosa is there. Very good ride by Pedrosa. Not the best of starts by him, but absolutely flew in the later stages of the race to pick up 16 World Championship points and to also move into 2nd place in the championship. Pedrosa arrives. Nakano arrives. But the man of the moment is the 24-year-old American. It's Nicky Hayden. So, Danny Pedrosa getting his award for finishing in 3rd place. 2nd place, you see Shinya Nakano, but first with Danny Pedrosa. What a performance by Shinya Nakano on the Kawasaki with those Bridgestone tyres. Rode quite brilliantly to finish second. But the winner of the race here in Holland is the halfway stage of the MotoGP World Championship. He's done it again. His first race win in Europe is the 24-year-old American. And it's Nicky Hayden who wins the Dutch TT here at Assen. What a day it's been for Honda, and what a day it's been for the Repsol Honda team. As I say, Danny Pedrosa moving into second place in the championship behind Nicky Hayden. But Hayden increasing that lead to 47 points over his teammate. Instructors award. The Repsol Honda team, the 200th Grand Prix victory Honda in the Premier Class of Grand Prix racing. But now, Nicky Hayden on the top of the podium once again.
En nogmaals.
What a season it's been for Nicky Hayden. His mum looks on.
What a season it's going to be, the way it's shaping up, Nick, too.
He leads the World Championship and he's won his second Grand Prix of his career, the first of the season. He's only been off the podium once this season. Nicky Hayden could be the first American world champion, dare we say, in the Premier Class since Kenny Roberts 6 years ago.
Look out, here comes the champagne.
Shinya Nakano, fabulous second place in the Kawasaki. What a performance. And in third place, Danny Pedrosa on the Repsol Honda. Honda celebrate their 200th Grand Prix victory in the Premier Class. Nicky Hayden celebrates his second Grand Prix win and a big increase in that lead, the World Championship. I wonder how Collin Edwards feels at the moment, in with such a big chance of winning his first ever MotoGP race. Nicky Hayden just making sure the girls get a drink of champagne or a taste of the champagne. And they're certainly getting that. Gets his priorities right. Collin Edwards leading the race into the last chicane. Him and Hayden didn't quite clash. Hayden ran off the track up the inside. He stayed on the bike. Collin Edwards just clipped the inside of the chicane.